Hey guys, Inferno here, and I got to play the Kirby Air Riders Global Test Ride. I've been really excited for this game as someone who never got to play the original Kirby Air Ride but always wanted to, so here are my thoughts and takeaways on the Global Test Ride that I just played. Alright, so in terms of game feel, gameplay, just how it felt in my hands, well, this game feels very smooth, very nice. I mean, the game itself is beautiful. The movement, you kind of have to get used to not accelerating yourself. You automatically do that in this game, and it makes sense given how the game's designed around that. But you do have to get used to it if you're a fan of other racing games, but it's a good decision, and once you adapt to it, once you get used to it, the game really just feels great. I feel like the movement is something, it's a situation where it's very simple and easy to learn, but hard to master. And I feel like the way people are really going to master it, really going to get a feel for it, is by playing the city trial mode, where you can move in every direction instead of just moving to the finish line. So let's talk about city trial. City trial. This is the mode with the most excitement around it, and man, it felt exhilarating. Like, a little bit overwhelming actually, but not in a bad way. In a way where it felt like, I want to learn and adapt to this so I can get as good as possible so I can beat everyone else here. That is the thing in City Trial, is that the later you get into a round, the faster and more chaotic it becomes because you pick up more stats, allowing you to blow up other people more efficiently, move around faster. It really becomes a lot more fast-paced. It gets faster the later you get into the round. At first I thought playing City Trial for 5 minutes and then playing a minigame would make the minigame part feel a little bit underwhelming, but it really didn't. City Trial makes the 5 minutes fly by because it's just really fun and it's so chaotic that you feel like 5 minutes is nothing. The minigames themselves are also really fun. I don't feel like any of them in particular missed. The ones I liked the most were the button minigame and gourmet race, and also the one where you fall down into little score hoops. That one's cool. Something I didn't know would be the case is that not everyone plays the same minigame, or at least on this online mode that we all played. Everyone got to pick their own minigame, and the one you picked would be the one you went into. I thought everyone would be playing the same minigame, and it would be whichever one the most people voted for, but that didn't seem to be the case, so who knows how that's going to work. I imagine there's going to be some settings where everyone plays the same minigame, or everyone can play their own minigame. We'll have to see. Speaking of City Trial, I actually got the chance to play it online with one of my friends, so let's talk about the online. So I played City Trial online with random people, but also my friend. So how did that go? Well, the online was pretty smooth. There was pretty much no problems. The only thing was that sometimes in the matchmaking mode, it would get stuck with one person left to join and just nothing would happen. And I feel like that was an error because if you left and rejoined another game, you wouldn't have that problem. So, you know, that's what the Global Test Ride is for, finding little errors like that, but that only happened a few times. Other than that, the online experience was very smooth, very fun, you know, felt up to snuff with other online gaming experiences, so yeah, it's all there, it's all perfect. It was really cool to get in a room, see the paddock. The paddock is really cool, by the way, and play online with my friend. Shout out to Fruit, he kinda kicked my butt a few times. The characters and the vehicles. Now, in this demo, and it is a demo, you don't get access to the full game, it's pretty much just a slice of the game. You don't get all the characters and you don't get all the vehicles, but what you do get already shows that there is a lot of diversity in how it feels to play based on what character you pick and what vehicles you pick. The characters I had the most experience with were Kirby, Maglore, Waddle Doo, and Starman. I played a few of the others, but these are the ones that I played the most. They all had very unique specials that made them all feel pretty different to play. The different stats, you could definitely feel them a little bit within the gameplay. Now, the main thing that changed the stats were the vehicle you chose. My favorite vehicles were the Paper Star, which is pretty good, although it just has no health, so you have a really high risk of getting blown up if you're in City Trial mode and just losing a bunch of points. I really liked the Chariot, that one felt good. The Scooters were the fastest one in my experience, so there's that. Also, the default Warp Star was cool, just, you know, jack of all trades. But also the Wing Star was really good for certain minigames where you'd have to, you know, soar. Now, there were some vehicles I didn't really like, such as the Bulk Star, which kind of felt slow. Some of these vehicles are harder to operate than others, and you know, you might be gravitating to vehicles that are easier to control at first, but maybe once you start learning the, you know, the ins and outs of some of these harder vehicles, then you'll be using them more often. So there is a lot of complexity in what you choose to use, and like, do you want to go for a vehicle that's high risk, high reward, like the Paper Star, where you have a high chance of getting blown up, or do you want to go for a little bit more reliable of a ride? It kind of depends on the stats you pick up too. So that was my experience with the Global Test Ride. Now, this was a narrow slice of the game. It didn't really include a lot of the different customization options, it didn't include Top Ride, it didn't include Road Trip mode, which I'm really excited for. But what it did include was really fun, you know? It was mostly just a taste of City Trial and a small taste of Air Ride mode, but from what you have there, it's very fun, and it's very fun to play with friends. And I'm very excited for it. I like, you know, experimenting with the characters and the different rides. There's a lot more to it than you might think. There's a lot of strategizing when it comes to what ride you want to pick, practicing the rides. I imagine in that little free mode with all the vehicles, that's going to be a nice experience, a nice chance to actually get acquainted with all the vehicles and really practice them. But for now, yeah, this is really cool, and I'm really excited for this full game release. Oh yeah, if you have the Switch 2 and want to play the Global Test Ride, well, they're going to be doing it again in a few days, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's all for this video. Subscribe for more Kirby content, because that's what I do here. It's what I do. See ya.